I can either have a life where I have a microphone, but I'm not allowed to speak into it, or I don't have a microphone, but I can say what I think. And I was like, well, I'm going to say what I think, because it's no way to live with your mouth shut. My name is Winston Marshall, and this is my story. For 14 years, I was in a band called Mumford Sons, which I founded as a teenager. My relationship with music started absolutely terribly. I was so bad at the piano when I started playing that I quit pretty quickly. And my parents were like, no, you have to have some sort of instrument. So I picked up the trombone. I was so bad at the trombone that my teacher asked me to quit. And eventually I found the guitar and I sort of fell in love with it because of the music I was listening to. Then I picked up the banjo, which had the great advantage of no one else playing, which means that getting jobs is much, much easier. I essentially fell in love with the banjo, probably because I also had a great love for America. There's a magic about the music of America. So I start playing in these different bands, formed this bluegrass band, Captain Kick and the Cowboy Ramblers. Then we're starting playing with loads of other bands around London, in the pubs around London. It was a great, lively time, an innocent time. The band Mumford Sons came about because of the many talents there. One of them was Marcus Mumford, who had a set of beautiful songs. He has this stunning voice. We ended up playing with Marcus, and then that really sort of whittled down to the four of us. It seemed to be the core elements was banjo, double bass, piano, and guitar. Mumford & Sons ended up doing very well. We were bound together by a love of not just the music, but touring, and we started touring very quickly. We first came to America in 2008, supporting Johnny Flynn and Laura Marling for a 3.5-week tour. It seemed to be very gradual. It was never a sudden burst. Every time we came, we played a slightly bigger venue. First it was clubs, and then it grew and grew and grew. There were a couple of moments that were really big for us. We played the Grammys with Bob Dylan and the Avett Brothers. That's when things started getting very surreal for us, actually, because Bob Dylan was just a poster on my wall. He wasn't a real human being. And now we're actually in a room with him. I haven't worked out how to articulate those moments because it was such a whirlwind. I remember it being emotional because it felt like we'd all sacrificed so much and we'd all worked so hard. It was like, wow, it was worth it. There's something about the kind of, the really quick, that rhythm, I remember first hearing it and it's so infectious. I'm sure to a lot of people, maybe most, that's the most irritating sound in the world. But to me, I remember hearing that and it's like I just wanted to be able to do that. Touring is pretty brutal for relationships. You're away for long periods of time. There's a lot of drugs. People want to maintain the high that they had on stage, so they'll come off stage and they'll carry on going. I was a very heavy drinker at the time. After doing this all for a long time and some other things that were happening, I wanted to feel like I understood everything that was going on around me, to make sure I remembered everything, because not everything was adding up. So I decided to stop drinking and all drugs. I'm now 6 years sober. If you're going to do the sobriety thing, don't do it alone. I regret doing it alone. That could have gone very badly. And I'm very grateful that I managed to get through that. One of the immediate things that happens when you do give up alcohol is that you have a lot more time. So the last couple of years of touring, every day, I think I was reading a book a day. Because when you're on tour, you're waiting for the gig, and that starts at like 8 p.m. So you have all day, you're not hungover, so you wake up early. Like, right, what am I going to read today? And I gave myself essentially an education. The book reading actually was what would be my undoing. Because I carried on, and then pandemic came along. And then I was like, well, I'm going to just share on my social media what books I'm reading. To my not many followers, on Twitter, I had about 3,000 followers, if that. One of the books was a book by Andy No, a very brave journalist, documenting BLM and Antifa I tweeted about this book. I said, "Congratulations, Mr. Andy No, you're a brave man." I don't know how this thing's happened, but it ended up trending, the number one trending thing on Twitter for like 2 days. And not just in my little old England, but in this country. My instinct was, just ignore it, it'll pass. By the end of the weekend, it was a segment on both Tucker Carlson and The View. And then you get phone calls from friends and colleagues and how upset they are. So I issued an apology. The apology was because I was seeing how upset everyone was. My bandmates were very upset, and I wanted to put out the fire. And I didn't want to lose everything that I had worked 14 years for, so I wanted to protect that. Another aspect was that I thought, well, maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe I don't know everything about BLM. Maybe I don't know everything about Andy No. I need to look into this. Then in the coming months, I obviously dig deep into Antifa, BLM to really understand this issue. And the more I did, the more I came closer to the conclusion that I'd actually not done anything wrong. Worse still, that the act that was wrong was the apology, an apology which was essentially what I would eventually conclude was participating in the lie. It was clear to me that the only way forward was I could stand by what I believed, but it meant it was not tenable to work with the band. I wanted to protect them. It wasn't fair on them to suffer because of what I believed. So I published an explanation and left the band. The music industry is unbelievably progressive, or at least the progressives dominate the discourse within it. And yes, musicians are afraid to speak. So many artists, some of the major artists, they'll say privately, I totally agree, but they can't say it publicly. It's such a shame what's happening. Leaving the band was an unbelievably difficult decision to make because I knew you can kind of keep your dream of touring, but you're never going to be able to speak your mind. And the other choice is, well, this might mean I don't get to tour like I did and play to tens of thousands of people every night and basically living the rock star teenage dream that I'd had. And I don't regret it. As soon as I retracted the apology for complimenting Andy No's book, a weight was off my shoulders and I got my soul back. It felt like getting my soul back. At the beginning of 2024, I started an independent show and I can interview whoever I want. I can explore any topics I want. I can go for as long as I want. And it's so much fun. It's so rewarding. I get the most lovely messages as well. I love my work now. The two choices I had, I can either have a life where I have a microphone, but I'm not allowed to speak into it, or I don't have a microphone, but I can say what I think. And I was like, well, I'm going to say what I think, because it's no way to live with your mouth shut. I made the choice to just speak the truth. Thank you for watching, and if you want to support PragerU and their great non-profit work, consider making a donation. I'm sure they'd appreciate it very much.